Hi, this is Robert Kiyosaki, and you're listening to Capital Hacking. This is the most important thing you can listen to today.
Hello, this is Josh McCown from Renault Winery Resort, and we have a very important announcement from Matt Sorensen about Learn and Grow, August 24th. Take it away, Matt.
I'm Matt Sorensen from Directed IRA. I'm excited to be the keynote speaker at the Learn and Grow event for Accountable Equity on August 23rd and 24th. Got to book your tickets and get registered. I'm excited to be there and to meet you in person.
Here's the one.
I have a dream.
With great power comes great responsibility.
I can do this all day.
This is it. Don't get scared now.
They may take our life, but they'll never take our freedom.
Cinderella story out of nowhere.
It's in the hole. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Capital Hacking begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to The Big Show. Josh McCown here with the world's best podcast host, John Edwin. Thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely, Josh. Man, Jamie Gruber brought the heat. He went start to finish. I mean, we should have given him 2 hours, quite honestly, because he just kept bringing wisdom after more wisdom after more wisdom and bomb after bomb.
Life-changing stuff, too. Stuff that's like, okay, wherever you're at in the journey right now, where you want to build something more in your personal life and you're working hard and you don't know where to start. He helps you find places to start. Very practical, very motivational in that. How about the fact that he gives you the secret question that you can ask of anybody who you want to be your mentor, someone that has the trajectory that you want to be on? He tells you the secret question. If you use the secret question, you will create rapport and a new wealth trajectory for your life. Oh my gosh, what was that? A cliffhanger? Yep, that was a cliffhanger. You're going to love it. The show's great.
And Jamie talks about how he left a very, very high-paying $400,000 W-2 job a year, golden handcuffs, how he left them and started his own, pretty much his own brand, really. I mean, it's amazing. And him and his wife moved to another country. You're going to learn all about it.
Yeah, living outside the country. And he's going to share with you the fact that there is actually something he's offering in this show. He's offering a very cost-effective community that he leads. So if you're looking for those types of resources right now, this is probably going to be a great introduction to what could happen for you. Enjoy.
Let's go.
John, Jamie Gruber from episode 201. It's a crowd pleaser, capital hacking favorite. Jamie Gruber, thank you for being here.
He is such a legend, not only in GoBundance, but among so many friend circles. Jamie, take us away, brother.
What's going on, guys? How you been? I haven't seen you, John, in months. Josh, I think you admitted to me, like, you're that guy that pops in, pops out. So I haven't seen you in like 8 years. It was like 7 kids ago, I think.
I don't think it was 8 years ago. It was
your
2
wife's
years
still
ago.
popping them out. What do you have? What number are you on?
Well, I love how respectful you are. That's extremely good. Great manners. No, she and I had our 10th baby. She was such a generous soul, that lady. But that was 4.5 years ago. And you know what? We got old since then. So I think God has taken our powers away. We'll see.
Jeez, man. No, it's good to be here, guys. Good to be here. Yeah, when we spoke last time, we were talking about, I think, like millionaire mindset and that sort of thing. And man, a lot's changed in my life. That was 3-4 years ago. So since then, if I'm updating, so the quick backstory, I was a corporate exec for 21 years, left that job in 2021. 2022, a year later, I moved to the Dominican Republic with my family for the adventure. We did it for a year, but we haven't left. So we've been here 2 going on 3 years. And it's been a lot of fun learning and growing and sort of taking one step into the unknown and seeing what the next thing is, all the while building this mastermind that I've been building for the last few years, GoBundance Emerge, partnership with GoBundance for future millionaires. So that's sort of the Cliff Notes version, I guess, of where I am right now.
Yeah. So I love that you left your W-2 and you and your wife just said, you know what, we're going to pack up. We're going to get the kids together and move to the Dominican. Why did you choose the Dominican?
So she's originally from here. She immigrated when she was a kid, 12 years old. So quick backstory, when I was going to quit the job, right when I joined GoBundance, actually, I had set a vision because I'd learned this from a bunch of guys. Like, what's a vision? You know, the vision, if I were to boil it down, was I want to spend 3+ months anywhere in the world with my family. That was kind of the essence of what I wanted to create. And I couldn't do that with my day job. So once I got the courage and the momentum toward leaving the job and left the job, A year later is when we moved, only because I wanted to make sure we weren't going to go broke. We did all right. So Dominican was like low hanging fruit in some ways, right? Like, okay, she has a ton of family here still, uncles, aunts, cousins, the language, the culture, and our kids are half Dominican, obviously. So
That's beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
It was sort of like, well, let's get them exposed to the language, the culture, the whole thing. So it became the easy spot. And our thought was like, do it for a year and then let's see. Switzerland, who knows? But we've sort of fallen in love with it, and we've decided to make this more of a permanent place.
So when are we, John and I invited to visit at any point?
Anytime, of course.
I think I'd love to. I've never been there. What's this social environment like in the Dominican Republic?
It's a lot different than what most would believe. So let me put it this way. We moved here for adventure, language, culture. We're staying for things like safety, connectedness, education, things that people don't usually associate with a Caribbean nation or a developing nation.
Right.
So I joined GoBundance years and years ago to meet guys like you, guys that I didn't have in my regular world. And I always say this, like if I idle at a 10, just like my natural state is a 10 with friends and family and coworkers or whatever in my normal world, like I'd have to ramp it up to like 30 in order to, relate and have a conversation. Like I'd have to really stretch who I am and become something a little bit different, use certain lingo or language or not say this or not say that. So GoBundance for me was very refreshing because I could, while I idled at a 10, I only had to ramp it up to 12. Right. Or I could say really close to whatever my authentic number is. So you asked about the social environment here. One of the things I didn't expect was, especially depends on where you choose to live. Where we live is chock full of entrepreneurs, not expats, Dominican local entrepreneurs. People like a guy I know here locally who owns a couple of multi-million-dollar homes in our neighborhood that has a massive digital marketing company. He just brought all the Meta executives short of Mark Zuckerberg here for a conference because he's that sort of plugged in. So the social environment here is interesting in that I have the combination of entrepreneurs and then these Dominican entrepreneurs, these folks that are like, there's no fluff. Nobody's pretending. So I kind of get to do the same thing I do in GoBundance naturally here. Idle at a 10, only have to ramp it up to a 12 to have deep, vulnerable, meaningful conversations with people. So it's been incredible, to be honest with you. And it's one of the features of living here. It's not the number one. I'll reveal the number one reason why we stayed. It's nothing I've said so far. And the number one thing that I think is a perk of living here in a bit, but that's a big, big benefit is being around other like-minded people.
Yeah. Before you tell any more wisdom, we have to completely derail the conversation and talk about John Edwin's Lady Cup. He just had a drink, and I want to show you this too. By the way, can you guys read that?
Right there. Good to hear from you, Josh. Hope you're well. Send me the information. I'll try to join your event. There you go. You got Jaws.
So we got Ron Jaworski hopefully signed up for a big event that John and the team and we're putting together. More information on that later. But Ron Jaworski right away, baby. Right away. He's like, I want to be with that group. Yeah. Just like Jamie said, let's be with this group.
We're going to have Ron at our Philly Regional September 9th through the 11th.
Wait.
So if you are listening,
you're
part of GoBundance, you better sign up now.
John's got it. I have to see the cup. I didn't see it. I was looking at you, John.
Oh, that is a ladies' cup.
It is.
It's a Valentine's Day cup. That's what it was.
But it's not Valentine's Day, nor are you the one that received it. It is a ladies' cup.
It's my wife.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And everybody listens like, what? Josh doesn't like ladies' cups? I think ladies' cups are great. There's only one man in the world that is more manly than John Edwin, and that's Sylvester Stallone. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, John Edwin is so manly. To see him drinking a lady cup is fun.
I am secure in my cup decisions.
Yeah.
So, Jamie, you're a master podcaster. You have the Tribe of Millionaires, which is excellent. And since you took the reins there, it has ramped up to probably one of the top in the world. And it's well done. You're a contributor. You're just a great mind. You ask great questions. John and I should get coaching from you on that, actually. But that brings us to, you're going to tease us. What is the number one reason to live in the Dominican Republic?
It's not even about living. It's one of the perks that you don't realize you have. So imagine this. I'm going to paint this picture. Imagine you wake up every day and you go to bed every day. And not one moment of that day for you, your wife, is spent cleaning the house, cooking any meals, cleaning up after cooking those meals, or doing any laundry. Imagine not having any of that responsibility for you or your wife. And now here's the big imagine. Imagine that for $800 a month.
Wow.
That, the ability to hire out, and people like, oh, that's people. We have two ladies, one of which makes 500. She's building a 6-unit apartment building on that 500 a month. Way better budgeter than me. So that's the market rate. We're paying the market rate, maybe a touch higher, but for $800 a month to not have to do any of that relieves stress in your relationship. It makes me uber efficient. All I got to do is worry about what I do and my family. That's it. I don't have to do anything else. People joke about the black t-shirts. I'm like, imagine a world where you go to the gym, you come home, you take it off, throw it on the floor, you take a shower, and the next day that same shirt is folded top of your pile in your drawer. I just grab the first shirt. So I wear the same damn shirt every day until it becomes like a white t-shirt because it fades so much because it's cleaned and taken care of. We take care of
Jamie,
nothing.
you're a great storyteller. I'm sitting here like we're all talking about folding laundry, and you're saying it in an interesting way.
But imagine that.
kinda
Imagine for
jealous.
$800 a month,
Yeah.
never dealing with it. 7 day a week, help. It's crazy.
Wow.
So that's a big reason why I stay.
All right. So, by the way, you probably didn't even think about meeting these entrepreneurs. That just fell in your lap when you moved down there, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
It's amazing.
So it's one of those things, you know, I always talk about, I was thinking about like stepping into the unknown. I talked about it a minute ago, right? So like every one of us are faced with decisions at a certain point. Like, do I go this route or do I not? And often, and I do it as well, we want to stay within something that gives us a sense of certainty, like quitting the job. I get the question all the time, and people are looking for this, like this formula or this thing or this hack, or like, ooh, you don't know about this app? You know, they want this one thing that's like the secret solution to doing the thing they want to do. And the answer, and Josh, you've been a parent 87 different times with God knows how many women.
One.
The answer, you know, to being a parent to 97 kids, it's going to go up as we go. Being a parent to 97 kids is you don't know how to do that until you're a parent to 97 kids. You have to do the thing to know what it's like to have the thing. So if you want to learn what it's like to be a solopreneur, entrepreneur, not have the day job or whatever, put a little money aside, try to maybe market test something that you're doing, a side hustle or whatever it is, but take the leap. There's no way other than you have to step into the unknown to know what the next step is going to be. It's a fog. You have to step into the fog to see the next step. So that to me is kind of like moving here. Like we just decided, and there's a lot of logistical stuff. People ask the same questions like, well, what about insurance? What about like, man, we figured it out. We booked flights and then the next thing and the next thing, but everything revealed itself as we took the next step, including, holy cow, I'm surrounded by these, and we fell into it. We got into a community that's way more expensive than people would think in a place like the Dominican Republic. Our house, we pay about $4,000 a month. Our electric bill's like $600-700 a month US, right? Like way more expensive you would think. And I was like, oh man, how dumb. We could have lived for whatever. But by paying to play, we're in a neighborhood with other people that can afford that. And those folks have
that's a great point.
So on and so forth, right? It's just like a mastermind. You know, you're going to get what you pay for. So, but I wouldn't have known if we didn't make the leap, if we didn't step into the unknown and just move to another country. So John, to your point, like I think the more I flex the muscle of knowing like, oh my God, I'm really nervous about this decision. That's because I don't know what's next. Probably the right decision to make. The more I flex that muscle, the more I learn that there's so many cool things. I have no idea what they're going to be on the other side of that decision.
Amazing. By the way, it's funny, this podcast, and we've had a few of these, Josh, where, you know, we have a guest like Jamie Gruber, who we love, who's a good friend of ours, and we've had other ones, and the energy is like not level 10, it's level 12, level 15, and we're jumping at the bit to ask you questions. So I'm going to let Josh go in a second, but I do want to pivot a little bit and talk about all the amazing things that you're doing with Emerge. Can you explain to our listeners what Emerge is and what is it that you guys are doing and creating together?
100%. Emerge is a partnership with GoBundance. So people want to join GoBundance. I'm sure you guys talk about it quite a bit. You're both members of GoBundance. I've been in GoBundance for over 5 years at this point. And GoBundance is that place you go because you're like, man, I want to be around millionaires and multimillionaires for all these different areas of my life, not just with my wealth, my health, my relationships, so on. Like that sounds amazing. Of course, I want to live in that neighborhood where all those guys live. I want to be there for sure. So at some point years ago, I was getting so much value from GoBundance that I went to the guys that founded it and said, look, guys, and this is a great way to do this. Not ask a question, how can I add value? But ask this question. This is what I asked of the guys that founded it. What's the number one thing you're working on right now? And they're like, oh, we want to create GoBundance for people that don't qualify for GoBundance yet. We want to create like a pre-millionaires club. And I'm an executive at an insurance company at this point, never having done anything in this space. And I go like, I could do that. I'll build that. It's like, great, let's partner, let's build it. So I build Emerge in the model of what GoBundance is. And we've essentially created a community around the same pillars: health, wealth, relationships, contribution, accountability, so on and so forth. We use the same tools like one sheets and all of that. But it's for folks that aren't quite qualified yet, but get a couple of things. One, accountability toward what they're trying to achieve. And we've had about 90 people at this point become multimillionaires and join GoBundance Elite, Champion, Women's, so on and so forth. It is co-ed, by the way. Mostly men, but co-ed. And second is, I always say, when you join Emerge, you're putting GoBundance on the front of your jersey. So the amount of connections Emerge members make with GoBundance Elite Champion members is staggering. We have Elite and Champion members coming in every week to teach something, every week of the year, 52 times a year. And at the end of it, most of them leave their phone number, they leave their email address. And so many of our members connect with the Elite and Champion members and create things. We just had one of our members meet an Elite member who was looking for a number 2. He ended up hiring her, female member of ours. She moved to Iowa, where he is. She's making a 6-figure income and has equity in his businesses now. And I've got multiple stories like that from Emerge members. So Emerge is designed, in my opinion, to give you accountability and proximity to other people that are like you, but also plugs you into a millionaire pipeline of people that are accomplished, but more than that, value that contribution pillar and are willing to sort of pass it down, or what do they say? Throw down the rope, throw down the ladder, or whatever, and help bring these folks up. So it's unique in that regard. There's a lot of masterminds that help people, but this one's direct pipeline into the GoBundance millionaires.
Yep. So the secret sauce there, folks, and I think we should not underestimate this, is when you are seeking to change your life status, is to go to the people you admire and ask the one secret question. And we're going to hit it one more time. What is that one secret question that could change your life the way it did for yours, Jamie? How did you ask that question of the guys that own GoBundance?
Yeah. It was, what is the number one thing you're working on right now? Like, what's your number one thing that you're working on? And in many cases, when they tell you, if you can find your way into answering that question for them, whether it's you directly getting an opportunity, or maybe it's, I can't help you with that, but I know the guy or gal that can, and you make that connection for them with really probably no benefit to you, it will pay dividends. Down the road, it'll pay dividends.
We've been trying to coin a phrase for that exact thing you did, because John and I, and we have a growing group of people working with all of us to try to build a $1 billion type of private equity company. And we say, what the best way to help us or to join or to get the benefit out of this is to offer, I call it a wealth internship, right? What's one capital contribution you can make if it's not cash? It's not cash. It's your time or talent or creativity, ingenuity, connections. We are always open to wealth interns, right? That someone that wants to change their wealth trajectory by being in active support and proximity to major projects. So that's kind of what you did. I mean, that GoBundance maneuver, message that you said to the GoBundance leader said, what's your number one thing? And then you took that and built Emerge. So you didn't even have to do a case study of what would someone buy. You knew what these owners of a company would buy. They would buy a packaged collaboration on a mastermind for entry level, people on the journey.
Completely agree. And I think that distinction is important, Josh. That distinction is important. Like the question, how can I add value, places so much burden on the person that you're asking to now try to figure out, like, I don't know how you can add value. I just met you. So I don't know your skills. I don't know your capabilities. I don't know your connections. I don't know any of that. So I get that question and I've asked that question. I'm sure we all are like, hey, how can I add value to you? And it's like, I don't know. A back massage? I have no idea. Like, what are you good at? What's your talent? And that's a lot to explore for somebody. But when you say, what's the number one thing you're working on? Now, all I'm asking is for you to explain to me your world, and then I can decide and I can determine where I add value. Asking how can I add value is the worst question people can ask when they're doing something great, which is trying to figure out how to. It's the worst possible question to ask.
I've heard John say other things, though. John has a different expression that's beautiful. He'll say to me, how can I help today? Or what's the one thing I can help you with today? So what?
I
Yeah,
don't like it
your.
either. I'm going to
You
challenge
don't
it.
like that?
I don't, because again, it's like, I don't know how you can help me today. I have no idea.
Well, let me premise that Josh and I know each other pretty well. So I'm actually always scared when I ask him that question, because there's going to be a
An
punch
answer.
list that's going to be emailed to me. Like, actually, I'll give you an example. Earlier today, we were talking. I reach out to Gary Jonas, who you probably also know, another
I do.
GoBundance brother. So I reach out to Gary, and I have Josh on the text thread. I say, "Hey, Gary, we want to do a Big Brothers Big Sisters golf outing at Renault. What do we do?" And then I thought to myself, "Oh no, Josh is going to put me in charge of this whole thing," and I don't know that I have the time to.
Well, that's the thing. But since hey, inside baseball here. Well, that was my thought. Like somebody has to be in charge. Neither of us can do it right now, and neither of us have yet become part of Bigger Pockets. What do you call bigger Big Brothers? So you and I thought Gary would want to do it, right, John? Isn't that what you and
Yeah,
I thought?
That's what I thought. That's
Okay,
what I
well,
thought.
there you go. Okay, sorry, that was a business call that just happened in the middle of your podcast, Jamie. Sorry about that.
Huh?
Jamie, you are phenomenal at what we're doing right now, podcasting, at succinct paradigms, succinct storytelling, succinct lessons. Like I love that you challenged us on how to ask the question. What is the number one thing you want?
You're
Are
working on
working
right
on.
now.
So
Yeah.
number one thing you are working on. And I think that's what this is going to change many people's lives listening to this show today, because they're saying, who are these Josh and John? They were normal guys. They are normal guys. How could they be on a trajectory that's really fantastic and they're helping a lot of people? It was that. It's like we found a way to solve that big problem for somebody else. And John, you do it for a lot of people. I'm trying to do it for a lot of people. And that's actually how you change your trajectory. And you did it so well. John?
Oh, good. I'm glad because I've been chomping at the bit for this too. So while we're talking about Emerge, Jamie, I know that there's kind of like a very beginning, like, so you pay a price and you have X amount of weeks, and then there's like an
No
annual
longer.
membership.
No
No
longer.
Okay.
Yeah, we did
Can
it.
you
We
just
did start.
talk about a little bit,
Yeah.
because I want to promote you and what you're doing. So tell us a little bit more, like how many members are in Emerge? Where is it? Is it national? Is it international? Yeah, give us some more information.
Yeah, when we first started, we tried it that way. Like, well, let's do like a 12-week course, and then you can upgrade to the mastermind. And it was confusing. We named the two different things and whatever. So we're like, you know what, look, we're a GoBundance community. Let's just make ourselves a GoBundance community. We're an annualized mastermind. So one fee per year, that's it. Events, it looks the exact same. Looks, feels, sounds the exact same. We have 300 plus members at this point. Like if you count when we did the course, it's like over 1,000. Like there were some people that did the course and didn't upgrade, but the members that have paid annually to be a member, as we talk about, there's over 300 at this point. Again, about
That's awesome.
a third of them almost have gotten to the level where they could go to Elite and Champion and so on, which makes them lifetime members in Emerge, regardless of what they do in the future with Elite and Champion. But yeah, so it's an annual membership right now. It's, I think, $5,000 for the year. We have a couple of events per year. We just launched our regional chapters. So GoBundance has local chapters. We're not that big yet. So we have 6 regional chapters, and we're doing regional chapter meetings, one a quarter, which is part of that tuition. So all included in your annual tuition. And that's really what we are right now. So the offering of what GoBundance Emerges, I always tell people this, is you come in, we have an onboarding, it's 6 weeks. We kind of took what we did get right out of that 12-week course, condensed it down and made it an onboarding. So we do that for the first 6 weeks. What's your vision? What are your goals? How do you build a one sheet? How do you start your pod? How do you execute on a planning ritual? What's this whole tribe of millionaires thing? Like, what's the value of a mastermind? We do that over 6 weeks. I get on a call with everybody each of those 6 weeks to go through what we're talking about that week. But then, yeah, you've got your pod, you've got your micro tribes, you've got your events, you've got your weekly content with GoBundance Elite and Champion members. We've got all these content offerings. But at the end of the day, and we just had a guy yesterday go through and talk about buying a business, an Emerge member. And I didn't ask him to, but he started with, he's like, well, let me explain how Emerge got me to buy this business. He's like, we do this vision thing at the beginning. I actually did it. Like a lot of people will like, oh, that's cute, I get to do a vision, and they move on. He's like, no, I did it. And I really bought into that. He goes, then we've got all these case studies, these weekly GoBundance member calls. So I watched them all. And then like the ones that hit me that were in the business acquisition space, because that's where I'm going, I called them. So I talked to Joe Wexler. I talked to Corey Robinson. I talked to, what's his name? James Richardson, the biz buying Brit. We had Cody Sanchez do that in Emerge once upon a time. So that's in there. That's in our content library. He didn't get her on the phone. But my point is, like, he called all those people. And then he started to formulate his thesis. And from his thesis, he went to brokers. From the, you know what I mean? Like he just said, like, all of it's here. You just got to use it. And that's to me the beauty of what we are in Emerge. Like it does nothing for you. And I love saying that because too many of these courses and communities advertise like, I'm going to get you your first 10,000 in Amazon sales in 30 days. It's like bull. You can't do anything for me. I've got to do it. But are you going to give me the tools and the access and the community, the accountability for me to execute? That's what I would rather invest in. And that's what we created Emerge for GoBundance is. It's not a done for you, nor should it be. It's not even a done with you. It's here it all is. Leverage the hell out of it. And you can make, I can go on and on about that, but you can make a lot of money. You can make a lot of progress.
Jamie, would you say there's a slight difference though with the tools are here for you. Leverage it as much as you want. One of the things I've always thought about in GoBundance though is it's very much, I always consider GoBundance like, I never look at it like to leverage the, I look at it as more as a relationship and a long-term value kind of, contribution, transmission, being on each other's, board in a sense. But it sounds like Emerge is much more proactive is what I guess I'm trying to say. It almost sounds like people are getting in it to collaborate, to put deals together. Is that a little different? Is there a small difference there or no?
Hi, this is Melanie McCallan. Josh and I are just so grateful for the many investors who have already joined us at Accountable Equity. Accountable Equity is so much more than a capital group. It's really a community of accredited investors that want to learn and grow together. I just want to personally invite you, if you want to find out more about this type of investment and see if it's right for you and your family, please visit us at accountableequity.com.
Hey, it's Hal Elrod, author of The Miracle Morning, and you're listening to Capital Hacking. Enjoy.
No. And if I made it that way, that's not, no, it's the same thing. It's long-term relationships, but the Emerge member, however, is probably more W-2, looking to do something different, looking to elevate their way out of it. And they're looking for knowledge and accountability and access on how to do that. So Matt King always talks about these phases, right? What is it like? The first phase is like when you're going after it. The second phase is when you're sort of settling in. And the third phase is the significance phase where I've got it all. And now I want to give back. I want to, leave my mark. Right. Emerge is that first phase. They're in the go mode. So is the objective per se to buy the business or buy the real estate? No, but the objective is the biggest shift in lifestyle. Like once you get to elite, you're probably in your lane. You know what you do. I'm a real estate investor. I've got wineries or whatever. And now I need to expand my network to see what I don't know within my lane, but I'm not going to deviate from my lane. And when you get up to champion, like you're so hyper-focused that no is easy, right? Like I know what I need. Now I just need the accountability to go to the next level. So Emerge is sort of, is more broad. So like when you come into Emerge, you're looking for, I don't know what I don't know. I've been W-2 guy or gal forever, or I've had a business, but it's just a solopreneur business and I know nobody like me. So it's like the first time Christmas ever came around that you're conscious of it, right? Like 3, 4, 5 years old, like these gifts come and I get to open them and oh my God, this is so crazy. And then eventually you understand what Christmas is, right? And it's like, all right, I know what I want for Christmas. That's what elite is. And I'm going to I get 3 things. I'm good. Because these 3 gifts for Christmas are exactly what I want. But that first Christmas, like 20 different things, water bottle, t-shirt, toy, like, yay. That's Emerge. But it's the same principle. It's not about the transaction. It's about the relationship in general. And I always say this with GoBundance, like, I hate when people call it a program. Because a program is like something you do. And I always say like, look at it like a neighborhood where all your neighbors are millionaire men who want to be the best versions of themselves. And now you just got to go out and meet the neighbors. Maybe you're me and you meet every damn neighbor. Maybe you're more like you, Josh, and you meet like the guy across the street, the guy behind you. Like how you get value is up to you, but they're all there. All the people you need are there. That's Emerge, that's Elite, that's Champion, that's GoBundance overall. That's my take.
You are so damn good, buddy. I'll tell you what. You are so damn good. So we have just a few minutes left, but I want to talk to you about a podcast that you run, and you run it so well. I listen to a lot of different podcasts, and one thing I really appreciate you is the time factor before you get into any interview. You do extensive research into that person, and I know that your goal is to ask questions that maybe they've been on 50 or 100 podcasts already. You want to ask them questions they haven't been asked. And I so truly appreciate it. It's almost like an art form. So can you speak a little bit about that, the Tribe of Millionaires podcast that you run, and also some of the techniques that you use?
Yeah. So I put probably 20 to 40 hours into each guest that I interview before I interview them. And that's a combination of things, depending on the guest. It's reading their books. It's listening to their podcast that they that they interview people. It's listening to them as guests on podcasts. It's watching content that they might have out there in different forms, looking at their YouTube, their Instagram. It's sometimes if their spouse has a brand, it's listening to their spouse, and if they're out there and they're public, like what are they talking about? And then that takes you down a rabbit hole, and you kind of figure out the way you want to go. So I'll go with this example of like a couple of them. Jesse Itzler. So I interviewed Jesse Itzler. Jesse Itzler talks about all the time how he was a hip hop guy who became a private jet owner, and then a coconut water company, then finally this adventure business, right? Like that's his arc of a story. And what I interviewed him, what I didn't want to do was use the time for him, this hour that I had, for him to explain all these things he's done, just like he has with everybody else. So the first thing I look to do is, I call it summarizing and going deeper. So rather than, Jesse, you know what, for context for the audience, which is required, context for the audience, just give us a quick 5 minutes on your story so everybody knows, and then I could start asking really good questions. Instead, what I'll do is I'll say something like this: Jesse, and actually, I think I asked this question. You have created so many different businesses and categories. Like you started the first card-based private jet company. Then you started the first coconut water, or you bought into it and sold it to Coca-Cola. Then you started this trend of books, Living with a Seal, Living with a Monk, all these different books, like this series of books. And the question was something like, is category creation innate, something that you just have in you, or is category creation intentional? Which one is it? And that makes the guest go like, all right, it's time to play, right? Like, this isn't going to be your run of the mill. Let me just kind of check the boxes and say what I usually say in interviews. The guest is at attention, and the audience is like, oh, that's an interesting twist. But all it is taking the 5 minutes where he would talk about this stuff and wasting that time, in my opinion, on a podcast, distilling it down, because nobody's story is truly that interesting. You can distill it down to a couple of key points with a trend and then go deeper. And that sets up the rest of the interview. If I nailed that first question, I got it. The second example quick is Grant Cardone. Dude, hours and hours and hours. Then I went back 14 years and watched stuff that he put out on YouTube. I went and looked at his tour of his $40 million Malibu home. So when I started asking him questions, it was knowing him better than he knew me. And I have this clip at the end, after we were done. I interviewed him. It was done. We kind of shake hands. I'm in his studio, and the video's still rolling. He stands up and he taps me on the shoulder. Am I able to say a curse word here?
Yep.
It's quoting. He goes, damn, man, you know your shit, man. That's what he said as soon as he stood up. And he said it a couple times throughout the interview, but he was absolutely floored. He even said a couple times, like, I've never been asked that question before. I don't know. I've never heard that before, right? Like,
all right.
I'm looking
Jamie,
for the
you're making us inspired, John and I, and scared to death that you're so much better than us. But two things. What was the one thing that you surprised him with then? What was one example of that? Because that's curious, because he's out in the front, everything about that guy's life. You feel like you know.
I went back,
find something nobody knows.
Well, it's not that I found something. It was a question he never heard. So I went back to his 10X principles, his book, and he had a list of goals, page 88 or whatever, for that time when he wrote the book. I'm going to have this many units. I'm going to have this much this. I'm going to be distributing this much money, or whatever the case may be. And so the question was, hey, tell me where you are against these goals. And he's like, those were my goals? I'm like, yeah, did you read the book? That was my question to him. So he's going through his goals. So I said, all right, well, so which is it? Do you set the goals so big that they're intimidating, or do you have to set them in a place where you feel like they're attainable? And he's like, man, I've gone back and forth. Like, that's a good question. Like, he didn't know how to take that, because it wasn't just like, let's talk about goals. How do you set goals? Like, that's such a basic question. But if you ask the question, like, these were your goals, I think you've blown, and actually I knew the answer. I know how far past him he had gone. I know what his unit count is. I know what his distributions per month are. And I know what his new goals are already. So I'm already aware of what his answer will be, or at least the principles of it so I can check him if he tells me something different. Well, wait a minute, you said this, right? He knows not to mess with me in that regard. But the question about, well, how do you set goals then in context? Because you set these and you blew past them. So are you thinking too small right now? Questions like that are what make him go like, oh, wow. Yeah, maybe, you know, like there was another question around, do you go after do you compete or collaborate with whoever the king of the category is? And he's like, I've never been asked that. He goes, what's funny is at the beginning of my career, I'd compete, go head on. He goes, now I understand the value of collaboration. If I had to do it again, I would collaborate because this, that. That's a lesson people can learn from a billionaire, love him or hate, that I got out of him because I went deep enough and asked the deeper question with him.
And before I let you off this, how many questions do you prepare?
I don't know, 80, 100, a lot.
No way.
Categorical. I categorize them. I'm never, ever, ever going to run out of questions for a guest. Like, look, I've done 2-hour interviews and still have many questions left to go, but I write down a ton. I have a notes app. I go to the gym. I just start typing down thoughts, things that I'm hearing while I'm listening to them, different things. Then I go back and form them into questions. Then I categorize them. And I'm always, again, and you'll see it in bold in my notes, first question. What's that first question? Because that's going to set the tone for the guest, the tone for the audience. Let me give you this little tip, if I may. Am I running long? Tell me if I'm going too far.
Well, this is a really important call for us, right, John? So
Definitely.
take it and run, buddy.
So Tom Bilyeu is doing this right now. When you do podcasts, often they always take a little bit of time to kind of get up to speed, right? And Tom Bilyeu is a great, great interviewer, but they take some time to get up to speed before you get into the depth of it to where people really can hear the vulnerability and the connectedness between the guest, the host, and the flow, right? So I try to hit that as early as possible. Tom Bilyeu is doing this, which is even smarter. He's editing his podcasts where the middle or the part at which it gets the deepest, he's putting at the front. He's making that the open to the podcast. And then he's finding where he can pepper in the front part of the interview throughout the interview, if he does it all. So he's editing his podcast in such a way to get to depth and sincerity and authenticity right away. Because everyone's attention, you have to grab attention right away, especially if you're trying to do video podcast. YouTube is a different beast. So that's how that's what I've been trying to do with my guests is how do I get the first question to have depth so that people are like bought in? He's taking it to a new level. He does a great job with the first question, but he also now is saying, but minute 26, man, we hit something. I want that to be the open of the podcast.
I don't know. How many are you doing a month, buddy? Are you doing one a week?
We're doing one. I was doing 2. I went back down to 1 because it's just too much.
How can you do that much research? I don't know. I don't want to ask any more questions, right?
Well,
John?
it's like, what's the NET, no extra time? So like go to the gym, listen to it for an hour, right? 2x speed on the book. Driving in the car, like whatever. Like I look at content.
Habit stacking, baby.
Habit stacking. And I look at content as I never, ever, ever waste time on content. Like people think like, oh, you're zoning out on Instagram or YouTube. No. For my personal brand, I'll watch stuff in my niche and then I'll react to it. So I'll watch a video, then I'll film a video reacting to that video. So no content is wasted, right? So I look at content as something you sort of, Evan Carmichael does this, like DJ it back out. So, if I'm going to be listening to something, why not listen to Grant Cardone while I'm prepping for this interview? Or why not watch something in my niche and then rehash it in a video of my own that I put out on YouTube? So content, it can be something that you zone out on, or you can leverage the hell out of it by just simply taking it and using it for, whatever it is you're building from a brand perspective.
By the way, it's so, oh man, gosh, thank you, Jamie. It was a selfish question that I asked because I respect you so highly in the podcast world. And I asked that question because I wanted Josh and I to hear some of your techniques, which have been absolutely amazing. And I think our listeners have gotten a lot of value out of it as well. Where can our listeners find you, connect with you?
Yeah. At the Jamie Gruber on Instagram is the best spot right now. And then if you want to head over to GoBundanceEmerge.com, you can check out what we're doing and apply there for membership.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you.
Awesome.
Damn straight. We just got buddy. We got to the end of another great show. And everyone listening right now, you're the family and friends. Thanks for staying till the end.
That was so fun. And hey, hit the like, hit subscribe. We're here to serve you guys. That's why we're doing this show. Josh is not paying me. I'm doing this off of my quote unquote sweat equity because we want to make a difference in your life. And then that ripple effect will continue to touch the world.
Hey, amen, brother. Please check us out on capitalhacking.com, all the social media threads. And yes, I know you've probably already sent this episode to one of your best friends. Thank you. We love you. Just go right into your iPhone, hit the plus symbol. We'll talk to you later. See you next week.
Share.